Sam Rivers, tenor saxophonist, New York based, did a not that many records for Blue Note. This one, A New Conceptions from 1966. Contour 65, Dimensions and Extension 67. I think his most popular record is Fuchsia Swing Song. That was a record that was always available, but I checked out early because it's got Tony Williams on it, and it's a great hookup. And I think Sam Rivers may be from Boston, as was Tony Williams. What's interesting about this record is Sam Rivers, you know, he's known as he's part of the avant-garde cadre of Blue Note, along with Larry Young on some records, George Braith, a few others. But on this record, which I'm sure Francis Wolff said do this, it's him playing standards. When I Fall in Love, I'll Never Smile Again, Detour Ahead, That's All, What a Difference a Day Makes, Temptation, Secret Love. I mean, these are classic American songbook standards, but in his hands, you know, he plays the melody, but then he takes it out. But he doesn't take it so far out that it's not engaging. Oh, it's interesting because it has drummer Steve Ellington, who worked a lot with a lot of people but didn't record that much. There's great interplay. These guys take it out, but it's still inside in a way. And it's fun to watch or to listen to Sam Rivers solos because he's kind of acerbic in a way and methodical, but he's wide open and he plays great ideas. His ideas really flow, and he had full mastery of the tenor. And then later on, you know, he went to the Studio Riv B, which was down in Soho. You know, he was really part, I think, of the avant-garde movement that came out of New York and influenced other cities as well, but that's another story. But A New Conception, not reissued, one to look for. 1968, Hank Mobley, Reach Out. This album is another one that's universally trashed by critics. Woody Shaw, George Benson, Lamont Johnson, Bob Cranshaw, Billy Higgins. Comes right after High Voltage, right before the flip, 1970. We're looking at the end period of the classic records from Hank Mobley, who died unfortunately at 55. It's very sad. But this record is universally trashed. And you know, I can kind of understand that if you only listen to Going Out of My Head and Reach Out, I'll Be There, which was like a really poor choice. Not only a poor choice, obviously, by Francis Wolff, but there's no life in those tracks. But there are 4 original compositions, Up, Over, and Out, Looking East, Good Pickings, and Beverly by Lamont Johnson, that is classic, in the pocket, in the cut Hank Mobley, that any Hank Mobley fan would want to own. And also, this record, this is part of this series. I have a couple other ones here that are the brief period of Blue Note Liberty gatefolds. They're very thin. That's interesting. And since this record is not that popular, even original pressing is like $50. It's recorded well. It's kind of a big sound. And also you have an interesting, very unusual lineup. Woody Shaw, the great trumpeter. George Benson, who's on maybe 5 Blue Note records, if that. Lamont Johnson, pianist, much more known for his avant-garde work. So even though this record has been universally trashed, has a beautiful cover of Mobley sitting in front of the Eiffel Tower, I think it's worthwhile for those original tunes, and you just kind of got to move past the other ones. 1963, Stanley Turrentine, Never Let Me Go, with Shirley Scott on the cover. Major Holly on bass, Ray Barretto on congas, Al Harewood on drums, Sam Jones on bass, and also Clarence Johnson. I'm a hero, I'm a campaigner for Stanley Turrentine, who in kind of a way is similarly kind of ignored like Horace Silver. When Blue Note came back with Don Was a few years ago and they started their 75th anniversary series, the New York Times did a big article on it, and whoever the writer was kind of an idiot. I only saw his name once in print in that article. Kind of slammed Stanley Turrentine as a lightweight. Well, in the comments section, he got a lot of hate mail, including mine, because Stanley Turrentine is not a lightweight. You know, Stanley Turrentine is not, in a way, he's not Mobley, he's not Coltrane, you know, he's not Wayne, but he's Stanley Turrentine, you know, and he was a beautiful soloist. He had some of the most exquisite pacing and timing in his groups. They could play these languorous, it's kind of more of an old school feel and a blues feel, but to me, Stanley Turrentine's records are eternally hip. There's nothing old school or corny about them. You know, if you listen to Lester Young records, and he's one of the masters along with Coleman Hawkins, you know, those records, it's harder for me to kind of get past the era they're recorded in as some music can be. If it's from a really, like the swing era is the swing era. It wasn't until bebop that Parker and Gillespie really shook things up and changed the way everybody played. And Turrentine kind of, you know, rides that crest between old school and hard bop. And he's got just a wonderful tone, and his ideas, you know, he's not burning notes. They're not like, he's not trying to impress you with his speed, but he's so hip. You know, he kind of talks almost, and he squawks occasionally, and he's got just a deep-seated sense of swing. So to me, this is another classic Stanley Turrentine album. I think you should buy all the Stanley Turrentine records. I don't care what label, I don't care what era. There's even one on like Muse or something that has the cover of an abandoned West Side Highway on it. They're all great, because he's on the records, they've got to be great. All the CTI records. I mean, if you want just perfect late night music, Saturday music, swinging, feel-good music, any Stanley Turrentine. And this is one that has not been reissued. Never Let Me Go, Stanley Turrentine, 1963. Byrd, Blackjack on trumpet, 1967. This is right after Mustang, which has also not been reissued, and right before Slow Drag, which I think has also not been reissued in the Music Matters Tone Poet Analog Production Series. Donald Byrd, even though he was definitely forced into the soul jazz box, as this album attests, was much more than a soul jazz player. There's almost more of an orchestral feel on some of these tracks. This album features Sonny Red, Hank Mobley, Cedar Walton, Walter Booker, and Billy Higgins. So you have Billy Higgins, so you have that bouncy, feel-good feel. But Sonny Red, like Benny Maupin on the Horace Silver record, like Jackie McLean on the Lee Morgan record, is the wild card. And Sonny Red is playing out on parts of this record. So once again, it's 67, and they acknowledge what's happening out there. And there's maybe one soul jazz track on this thing. The rest of it is more thoughtful, well-arranged, very expressive. Donald Byrd was a very smart cat. I believe he was a professor later. And also he was able to bridge later periods when the Blackbirds came along, the Mizell brothers, and did some fantastic records. I think maybe, his might be the last records on Blue Note that are, of the latter period Blue Note, that are still stomping records. Caricatures, one that came out as a classic 80, I forgot the name of it. He did some amazing mid-70s records. But this has 2 Sonny Red tunes, 3 Sonny Red tunes, and the other ones are by Byrd, and it's a classic. As I said, there are elements of soul jazz. If you go to Mustang right before it, there's more soul jazz. If you go to Slow Drag ahead of it, Byrd is enough of an individual artist with an individual vision that they really couldn't just stick him in that box. So this is one worth looking out for, and there are gatefold copies of it. All right. The first Herbie Nichols trio. This is a Lexington Avenue copy. Herbie Nichols hasn't been reissued by anyone, I believe. I'm sure if it has been, someone out there will correct me. But a phenomenal pianist, a gargantuan talent who died young, of course. And this is worth searching out because he had a totally unique sound. I believe this is another record with Art Blakey, of course. Oh no, this is Max Roach. Al McKibben, Teddy Kotick on bass, and Max Roach on drums. I can't even really qualify him that well. There's a spirituality to what Herbie Nichols did and a sparseness, but a very open, welcoming tone. And you really hear the era, the 50s this was recorded in. Some people say he sounds like Monk. He really sounds nothing like Monk. I think Monk was darker in a way, even though he was playful. Herbie Nichols was more cerebral, you know, less visceral. But this is one worth searching out for in any condition. Thanks for watching.